Oops. Hello, everyone. It is Teresa from Teresa's Papa Art. I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create and enjoying life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. So I have this board. This stencil, it's a layering stencil from Essential Stencil. You guys know how much I love Essential Stencil. The stencil is 11 by 14. So imagine the board is a little bit bigger. It's probably 12 by 16. Okay. Let me do this and move this. And the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to paint the background. And I don't really know what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to put out some blues and some white. And the blue got stuck, so let me grab a little. I hate to tell you what I call these little things that get in the blue. Well, actually, all the paint, not just the blue. Okay. We don't have to talk about that. Anyway, so I got some blue. I'm going to put out a little bit of white. I'm even going to put out a little bit of black. And then I have this ultramarine blue. I think I'm going to put out some of this too. Let's see how much of a difference it is. I think it's a little bit purpley, but it'll be good for the sky. So this is a layering stencil from Essential Stencil. Yeah, I like that. I'll use it. Whatever. Layering stencil from Essential Stencil. This is a pretty big board, so I'm going to get out a pretty big brush. I don't use this brush often. And I'm just going to pick up my blues here, both on my brush, and go for it. I'm doing a swirling motion. Pick up my blues. This is an old piece of lumber I've had in the basement, so it is going to suck up the wood. And this is just going to be the background for our beautiful layering nativity. Okay, background, and starting out, the whole thing is going to be blue. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white, start working that in here too. Go back to my blues. And how is everyone doing today? Happy Monday. Yes, it is Monday. Monday. You guys don't want to hear me sing. Although, I always say, I'm going to give you guys a little game one of these days where you guys can shout out words to me and I'll come up with a song for those words. Because, and probably when I ask you guys to challenge me, I won't be able to do it. But pretty much, I have been known to burst out into song over the most common phrases ever. So I can come up with a song for just about anything. But I'm just going in here. I'm doing a swirl. This is going to be our night sky for the backdrop for this beautiful layering stencil from Essential Stencil. It has 4 sheets. They're 11 by 14. I'm going to follow the colors that they gave us in their picture on the package, but you don't have to. You can do whatever colors and whatever you want. I think I might paint the sides. So I'm going to go back into some white. I'm just going to start working in too much. Working in a white into the middle here. And see that? I was like, too much. But that's okay, because then I'll show you guys how easy it is. I just picked up a little bit more blue, and we went back to fixing that. And it is A-okay. And I'm doing this swirly motion because it is sky. I'm not going to worry about too much about getting a really, really light spot, because we're going to do all that with our, I'm going to pick up a little bit of black. We're going to do all that with our stencil. I am going to go around and make the corners and the edge a little bit darker. I just went in and I picked up a little bit of black on my brush. And again, I'm using this brush, pick up some blue, tiny bit of black, in a swirling motion. Coming across the top and coming down the sides to the lower corners as well. Or if I turn it upside down, it'll be the top corners. I'm not going to worry about that. Blue on my brush, little corner in black, and come back into my project. Now, this layering stencil is fairly simple to use. It has markings so you can layer it. So whenever you come back with the next stencil, you know where to put it. It has these little markings. I'm going to show you where they are. Okay. Now I'm just going to go in. We need to let that dry a little bit. I'm going to grab the dryer probably, but while that's drying, I'm going to paint in some edges. You guys know how I feel about edges. I'm very fickle about edges, right? Sometimes I want to paint them. Sometimes I don't want to paint them. Sometimes I paint them something completely weird. Sometimes I paint them to match. Again, I'm just picking up both blues. I can see the very subtle difference in my board, my surface right here, that you guys can't really pick up in the camera, but I can. So you guys can't tell I used the two blues and a little bit of white. And then I darkened up the corners. Like I said, I can tell from my in person. You may not be able to tell though in the camera. Okay. And that is that. I'm going to put this aside. I would put it in my water, but then my water is going to get really, really blue at the very, very beginning of this project. And we don't want that. So while we let this dry naturally for a minute, I'm going to show you this stencil. So this is a layering stencil from Essential Stencil. It comes in 4 pieces. It's 11 by 14. And for today's project, I am actually going to follow the design. Okay. So each step 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, it has the colors. We're going to stencil it. We're going to use a pouncing motion. I'm going to use a number of stencil brushes. I actually have the Essential Stencil stencil brush set. And these, you start out at layer 1 and you build up. It's almost, you know how I always talk about my pizza, right? Art is like pizza. And here they are. So they say, oh, I think this is upside down. They say, I don't know if you can see, layer 1, and these are the marks. So you know how to line it up. So layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and layer 4. Okay. And then it has a picture. And like I said, you can do these colors. I'm going to stick to, they're muted. So it's browns and blues, some white, and maybe a little bit of yellow or gold for the manger itself. I'm going to stick to this color family. Obviously, I'm not going to use the same exact colors. But then if you were to make this, you could use whatever colors you want. All right. So I'm going to put this aside. Again, this is a 4-piece layering stencil. I put the link in for Essential Stencil. It is 11 by 14. You could make this smaller because the actual manger itself, let me grab it. The actual barn itself, you could fit this on a 10-inch piece. Okay, theoretically, and art is so cool when it goes off the board. You could fit this on maybe even a 10 by 10. You could fit this on a 10 by 10, an 8 by 10. An 8 by 10 would cover off a little bit of the ground down here, but you could do it. Okay? You do not have to use such a big board like I am using here. I'm going to wipe that off, and I'm going to get my heat gun. So bear with me for 1 second. When you hop on, let me know where you're watching from. I am live right now in both the Facebook and the YouTube. I have used a couple of blues, cover my pants, a couple of blues, some white, and then some black in the corners. And I'm just drying my stencil now. And then we're going to get started with stencil number 1, layer 1. I'm using the Essential Stencil pack here of brushes. This is a 4-pack. I don't know if they still have the 4-pack. It might be a 3-pack now. These are the ones I'm going to be using. Ordinarily, you guys, I'll use like 2 or 3 brushes for a project. But since this is a layering project, I'm going to keep my white separate, my blue separate, my brown separate. And then I have, God, this stencil brush, what does it even say? Stencil Ease, number 8, West Germany. West Germany. The fact that it says West Germany should tell you something about how old this is. West Germany has not been West Germany since the wall came down. And we all know when well, maybe you don't know when the wall came down. The wall came down under Reagan. And so that's how old this stencil brush is. It's quite firm, it's quite large, and this is the very first stencil brush I ever had when I first moved into my house as a young married woman and was going to stencil my way to a beautiful home. Okay? So this is dry. That's funny, you guys. It says West Germany on it. Huh. Weird. Anyway, okay. So I need to... I'm not going to worry about that later. So here is my surface. I am going to get out stencil number 1. I'm going to eyeball where I want it. I'm going to actually even set it up so it's even with the bottom of my surface. So I think that would be the easiest thing to do. And then I know that I'm always going to have it on the bottom of the surface instead of trying to center it in many, many different ways. Okay. I am going to get a piece of tape so it doesn't move while I'm using it. I'm going to tape it down up here. And then I'm going to get my West German stencil brush and pick up some white. Now I need to be able to offload. Let me have this piece of cardboard. So when we stencil, we want to get the paint up into the bristles, like usual, not all the way up into the ferrule, the same thing as any other paintbrush. And you want to offload it. When you stencil, you want your stencil to be almost dry. You put the paint on, then you take the paint off. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to gently pounce it in. And I'm starting with white because these are light colors that we're going to start with for our design. And I want the light undertone so that our colors really pop on the dark blue. If I didn't do the white, I would have to do several colors, several layers with this one first layer of stencil, which I could do because I'm going to have to do multiple layers anyway. But this way, I'm pouncing in a little white. I'm being very loosey-goosey with it. And this is just going to help us have our colors really pop when we get into doing our colors. And again, so I'm going to get some more paint. I'm going to offload it. I'm going to pounce it off on my scrap. And I'm going to come back to my project. And this is just white background. Aside from light paint, you really don't have to think about it. Okay, we have Joseph. We have Mary over here. We have a little lamb. So there was, somebody was doing Bible trivia the other day. And the question was, who was baby Jesus's first visitors? And we all said the 3 wise men, and that was incorrect. The correct answer was the sheepherder. So, all right, that's good. So I'm going to go, where's my picture? I'm going to go to my picture. Okay. On the picture here, we have all our backgrounds in. So I did everything white so the colors pop. These are all muted. So we got a little cafe latte tan going on here for the barn. We got some light brown going on for our cows, like a little buttermilk off white down here for the sheep, maybe some gray over here for this cow. And then we have our clothing on our Joseph and our Mary, which we could do whatever we want with. Okay? So I'm going to leave that here. I'm going to put my white one there. I'm going to get some fawn. I called it cafe latte, but I'm going to get some fawn. I might switch dishes now and keep this one from my white. And I'm going to do a little bit of fawn. I'm going to do a little bit of brown. I'm going to do a little bit of burnt umber. And I'm going to have some white in the middle. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start with this lighter color. I'm going to get my practice or my offloading here again. And I'm going to offload this fawn color. And I'm going to come into my manger. Now that we're doing the color, I want a little bit better, a little bit better coverage than when I was just doing the white. The white was just like a base coat, so my colors would pop. I put a little bit of pressure on my brush, get rid of that little fiber that's hanging out there, and come back to my project. You want light coats so you don't get bleeds. All right. Actually doing the base white coat to begin with helps the bleeds as well, because that kind of like seals it in, seals your stencil to your project. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of hairs here. It happens. It's okay. Don't fret. Most brushes will do that. And then you can come back with your next layer. But you should always do really thin coats. Some people like to do a swirling motion when they stencil. I'm not some people. I don't really like to do that. I don't know. I just feel like, and it works for them. I just feel like pouncing works better for me. I feel like when I swirl, it has the paint has the potential of swirling right under. There are plenty of people who use that swirling motion. I just can't. Okay. Then we're going to do down and around. Let me cover him up a little. I'm going to grab a little piece of tape. I'm just going to cover up the baby here. And I'm going to do some of this. And you don't have to do that because we're going to come back with other colors. And it would work just as well. But I'm going to do the hay. And down here on the ground a little bit with this tan color as well. Pick it up, brush it off. You guys might be wondering, why am I stenciling this on here when I can paint it? And you know what? You're right. And I'm probably going to, at the end, add some highlights to it and a little bit of detail and some brush strokes to it. But you know what? I like to create, I like to craft, and sometimes it's just a little bit of mixing it up. And this way, I don't really have to think about it, and we can chit-chat. And also, if you use my affiliate link for Essential Stencil, you can save 10% off, and I earn a little bit of extra income. So it's a win-win for everyone. I'm showing you how to use it, and it is a win-win. Okay, I am still following this picture here. So we have done the barn. We have done the grass, the hay, whatever around it. I want my legs of my manger to be a little bit darker, but I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to keep doing the light colors. Now I'm going to add a little bit of white to this tan color. I'm still using the same brush. I'm going to pounce it off still on my cardboard. It's a bit lighter. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the cows out here. Pick up a little bit more paint, pounce it off. Do this part of the cow. The beauty of this stencil is, you guys, because it is a layering stencil, there's going to be so much dimension in our project when it's done. Out here is part of a sheep. You wouldn't know it, but it is. There's going to be so much dimension in here when we're done because each layer is adding another layer of shading and or highlighting to our project. It's really cool, you guys. Okay, so that's them. Oh, I have to do some of her dress too. I'm actually going to make this a little, I'm going to grab a little bit of my gold. A little bit of my gold. And I'm going to mix the white, the tan, and the gold. And I'm going to stomp that off. And I'm going to come in here for Mary. Okay? And up here. And what part of her sleeve? Ooh, the sheep. Oh, the sheep back here is going to go back to this color that we had. So I'm mixing that back, pouncing that off. We have our little sheep. I'm still going to keep baby Jesus covered. And do our little baby sheep back here. This little bit of hay out here. And then this one's a little bit darker and yellowish. And then this one here is gray. Okay, so I'm going to now get some tan, a little bit of black, of this brown, making a little bit darker color, pouncing it off, and I'm going to come in here and we're going to do this guy. And this is part of this guy as well. And see, messed it up, but you can't really mess it up. It dried. I came back with the darker color and I fixed it. All good. Okay. And then last but not least, we're going to do, there's some skin tone going on in here. And then we have to do Joseph's outfit, his robe as well. We'll just get out a little bit of warm beige. I'll put a little bit here. I'm not even going to clean my brush. There are a gazillion skin tones. You really can't go wrong with a skin tone. What I do want to do, though, I think I'm going to switch brushes and get out a little tiny stencil brush for the skin tone. Pounce it off. And we're going to do the face. Pounce it off. We're going to do the face. The hands. Part of the arms. Now we have to move this tape. And we go back to baby Jesus's face. Joseph's hands. A little bit more. That little part too. And I'm just, it's almost like paint by numbers, you guys. There's no numbers, although that would be clever, wouldn't it? And then up here for his face. That would be clever, right? But I'm just following the picture that was given. I'm just following. So this is layer 1. These are for tomorrow. I'm going to be painting some ornaments tomorrow. This is layer 1. This is layer 1's diagram. And I'm just following this picture and going by color. I'm not using the same paints. I'm just using the shades, variations of those colors. Now we want to make Joseph's outfit. So I use the same brush. I'm going to pounce it off. I'm making his robe a little bit dark. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do his hat. Let me get this piece of tape so I can cover his face and do his hat. Or his cap. I guess it's more of a scarf than a hat. His scarf. And then his robes. A little bit more of this dark brown. Always remember to pounce it off. Okay, what's left for her? A little bit. I'm going to fix her with the white. Okay. Oh, I'm also going to make a little bit of this dark brown here. So I want my manger legs to be this dark brown. On here, and again, I'm using some a little bit creative liberty. On here, they're the same colors as the ground cover and the hay. But I am doing them the colors I want. And that's fine. Okay. All right. And then back to my white, which was where? Here it is. Bounce it off. And again, let me get this piece of tape. Oh, then cover her face and do the white. And then cover her face the other way. And do this white. Tap it off. And you guys can't really see anything. This is my first time using this stencil, and what is good about now when I do it consecutively, I mean, I'm going to wash this stencil, and these stencils clean up really, really good. But after I wash this stencil, I'm going to be able to know where the colors were, which is really awesome. Hello, Capri. How are you doing? I'm going to put out a little bit of gray. And I'm going to get a different stencil brush. And I'm going to mix some white with my gray over here. And pounce it off. And come back here to my project. And fill in, oh, a little bit more. Fill in my cow here. Oh, I'm happy you caught me live too. I am working on this layering stencil. It is a Nativity 4-piece layering stencil from Essential Stencil, who I love. I'm using that little piece of scrappy cardboard over here to offload my brush. I don't use Telegram. I may look into it. There's a fee involved. I tend to be a little frugal. So no, I do not use Telegram. I have started, I don't know if you're on my email list, but I have started sending out an email. Today I didn't post it, but I have started sending out an email and then posting on my page like maybe an hour or two ahead of time for when I'm going to be live. What I really should do, Capri, and I know it, and you know it, and everybody else knows it, I should pick a time and commit to it and let that be that. Honestly, I know. So anyway, we're working on this 4-piece layered stencil. And I just did the first layer, and I think we're good. And I'm going to lift, oh, I need to do my marks. I'm gonna do my marks in blue. I'm gonna get this little brush. I'm gonna go into my dark blue from before. And let's see if I can get these in here. This way, when I have to fix and paint them over, they'll already be in the blue family, which is my background. Let me see, can we see those? Yes, okay. So that was layer number 1, and I'm gonna lift it up. All right, I'm gonna grab my tape because I wanna keep it. And I'm gonna put layer number 1 to the side, and I'm gonna get my dryer. So we have all this background. I'm frugal too, so I get that. Thank you, I appreciate that. So I'm gonna just turn on my dryer for a second. So that was layer number 1. All like the light shading, the background going on. It's that one right there. I made the legs of my manger a little bit darker. And we have the highlighting for Joseph and Mary's robes, and the highlighting for the animals and the barn. And I'm just gonna hit all this with my dryer now. These stencils are 11 by 14, but you could absolutely do them on an 8 by 10 or a 10 by 10 surface. It dries pretty quickly because these are just, yes, thank you. The secret to clean edges is less paint. That's why I have this piece of cardboard here that I offload onto between stenciling rather. So this is number 2, layer number 2. I'm going to find my marks. I have it even with the bottom of the page. I'm going to find my marks. I need to see. Okay. And there we go. Hold it down. Put a piece of tape. Oops, can't have it covered in my stencil. And there we go. Okay, so now this is layer number 2. And I'm basically following the description that they gave us. So now in layer number 2, I'm going to start adding again. I'm going to add in a little bit of light blue to the background. I'm going to just keep going and doing a little bit of highlight. So that's my brown dish. Put out a little bit of blue. And this takes like the tiniest bit of paint too. I mean, I'm going to have dishes and brushes everywhere, but there's really hardly any paint required. Oh, you think you saw it shift? I taped it. I don't think it, let me see. I think, Capri girl, you may be right. There we go. Thanks. Okay. Now I'm going to get this one. I'm going to go into our blues. So I have my dedicated white. I have that's my gray brush. And then I have my tan brush. And I have my offloading cardboard. And now I'm going to get my blues. All right. I'm just going to go into the straight light blue for this because it's the first blue. And this can dictate what my other blues are going to be. I'm going to come up in here and start pouncing in. These stencil brushes are also from Essential Stencil. The same thing with stencil brushes. You want to have your paint in the fibers, but you don't want it all the way up into the metal part. Eventually, if too much paint gets up into the metal, the ferrule part of your brush, that will eventually ruin your brush and it won't come together and do what you want it to do because the paint gets all gunked up in there in between the bristles. I just wash my stencil brushes out with a really warm soapy water, and then I lay all my brushes to dry. I don't stand them up. When I dry my brushes, never dry your brushes upright in a cup or even either way, upright or with the bristles down. If you dry them with the bristles down, your bristles will get all wonky. If you dry them with the bristles up, the paint residue goes into the metal and ruins your brush. So you want to dry your brushes laying down. And I put them on a dish rag or something. Okay? All right, so I did that blue background. Now our animals down at the bottom, they got a little bit of a darker blue going on, or maybe like a gray. So I think what I'm going to do, oh, it could be the late, you know what? I don't really need the Lazy Susie. So let's do that. I'm not going to be turning this. And that gives me a little bit more room. All right. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to pick up a little bit of gray. And I'm mixing in a little bit of gray with my light blue. And that's going to be the second color over here for my animals. Oh, I did. Okay. And I'm pouncing that in. Can you see? Yep. And we're just working with blues and browns and tans. And I'm going to use my black and my dark blues, my dark values and my white to make different values of my paint colors. Oh, well, that's the reason. Okay. And then down here a little bit. Dry it off. I love these layered stencils. You can get some really nice layered stencils from Recycled Treasures too. If you can find an authorized dealer of recycled papers and stencils, she has some nice layered stencils as well. But I love these stencils from Essential Stencil. Use them often for a lot of things. Okay, so I've done the blue. And this part of Mary and Joseph is going to be a little bit darker. We're going to highlight a little bit. So I'm going to go to my browns again. And I'm going to take my tan and pick up a little bit of brown and work it in there because I just want a different shade. Again, just different values. I'm adding my dark blue, my dark brown, and my white to get different values so we can shade and highlight. And now I'm coming in here, do some shading on her, some shading on there, some shading onto baby Jesus, Joseph's hands, and Joseph's hands, and then Joseph's face. Okay. And then we want to do, I'm going to go back to my blues. I'm just going to pick up some light blue, a little bit of this dark blue. Not much difference there. Not much difference at all. Light blue, dark blue. I'm rubbing it in. I'm going to pounce it off. And we're going to do the back of her scarf. Okay. Different values going on with the same thing. Now, back to my browns. I'm going to pick up Total Brown. So the stencil did not come with color coding, which is weird because I was thinking this is just like paint by number. It did not. I'm just following along. There's a diagram here, layer 1 and layer 1, layer 2 and layer 2, and it builds on. And so I'm just looking at what they have here on layer 2, which is the one I'm using, and then using the colors. The beauty of this stencil, I'm not using the same colors, but I'm staying in the same brown, tan, gray families. And the beauty of this stencil, so these essential stencils clean up really well. Like if I wanted to, I could clean this. It could go back in the package and you would never know I used it. You don't really have to do that. It's a stencil. They're thick. They're quality. You don't have to do that. So I will clean it. But when I clean it now, the next time I take it out to use it, I'm going to see where I used tan, where I used white, where I used dark brown, because I don't need my stencil to look brand new. I just need it to be clean so it doesn't get all gunky and wonky. And these clean up so nicely with warm water and a little sponge. I keep an old stencil brush by my sink where I clean my brushes, and I'll get some soap on the stencil brush, and that is exactly how I clean my stencils. I put them on the bottom of the sink, and I suds them up and use the stencil brush in a circular motion to clean my stencils. I should make a video on that. Maybe I'll do that when I'm done with this. And that works really well. But it doesn't have to be clean and perfect, but then I'll know where the colors are. And that is awesome. Okay, so I got every piece of number 2. And I'm going to pick it up. I'll use my tape again. And I'm going to toss stencil 2 to the side. Got my brown brush, my white brush, my blue brush. So look how cool that is already. Look how it's like a tub of water and I immediately have to use them. Yeah, I usually do that too. Especially when I do my parties, because I bring stencils to parties sometimes. I'll use like a big aluminum tin for catering and cooking. A tool cleaning video would help me. Yes, I will do that. And I just put there's warm water in there, a couple of squirts of dish soap, and then we just put them in there. Then I'll dump out most of the water before I come home and wash them. All right, let me get my dryer out, and we're going to move on to 3. So look at all this up here. The layering stencil gives us our highlights and our shading. Look how cool his face looks. His hair, the darkness here, and the highlight to the left. The same thing with her, shaded, and then the highlight. We got our beautiful sheep, and then our bull going here, the little lamb up top. And like I said, could I paint this? Yes. But sometimes it's nice to just chit chatter. I want people who follow me to be successful. So if you're like, oh, I could never paint that. Well, actually you can, because all you have to do is get a stencil. So I just put my fingers in the paint. Let me wipe that off. Number 3. Number 3. I remove my glasses. Line it up on the bottom. Now again, we have these marks up here, but I don't totally need them because I can line it up with the underneath. See how easy that lines up? I can line it up with what I've already painted. I'm going to use my marks, but if you don't use your marks, it's okay too. All right, where's my tape? And I'm going to take this down. Okay, now we're to number 3. So you guys, this is when it's really going to like painted the page. Thank you. I know what that means. So Essential Stencil is always having sales. They have free shipping with this, with really, I think it's $40, which is not much when you're talking about buying quality stencils that are reusable. I've used my stencils from Essential Stencil for dozens and dozens and dozens of parties, and they're like brand new. Um, so Stencil Spot, use the code Stencil Spot for 10% off if you want to check them out. Okay, now we're going up to number 3. So this whole background here is going to be lit up. And then we're going to start finishing in our animals and whatnot. All right. So I'm going to get out my light blue again, which is where? I think I put it back. All right, so I got my light blue. Now I'm going to, instead of going over there and contaminating my white, I'm going to put a little dollop of white here. Okay, light blue, pick up some white, and I'm mixing it in. You can actually see, you guys can see, the 3 values of my light blue. This was regular. This was, I added a little bit of gray to it for some of the, on the second layer for the animals. And now this, I added some white to it because I'm going to do the background. But that was it. It was light blue with a little bit of gray and a little bit of white. I'm coming back over here to my cardboard. I'm offloading my brush. And then I'm going to come up here and pounce it in. I'm glad I moved my lazy Susie. I didn't realize it was being a nuisance for stenciling. I'm just pouncing this in. And I just go through one section at a time. You want to take your time. It's easy, but you want to take your time so you can figure out, are those, yeah, they're plastic, but they look like paper plates. You can't use paper plates with acrylic paint. It sucks up all the moisture from the paint. And I just take my time going from element back and forth to see what colors they used. Yeah, I use for my paint parties, I use wax plates. You can't buy styrofoam here in New York anymore. I guess it's been outlawed. So you can't buy styrofoam here, but I will use the wax coated paper plates. I get them in bulk from either Price Club or BJ's. And then at home here, I use these and I wash them. I got these a long time ago. I use them in the kitchen too. Not the same ones, obviously. I got these a long time ago. Remember Bed Bath & Beyond? That's where they're from, Bed Bath & Beyond. Okay, got the background. Let's see, what else are we going to do now? We need a little bit darker in here. I'm going to add a little bit more gray. Oh, no, it's going to be lighter, I guess. Lighter here for our animals, these animals. Yep, that was darker, so now this is lighter. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my blue, get my gray, because this was a blue gray, and then get a little bit of white. Okay. Mix that up. I'm going to come over here and offload, and then go back to my animals. Okay, that guy, this guy. Move you guys up a little bit. Okay. What else? Again, I'm just going back and forth between what's here and what's here. So I did the little sheep with the blue. Now I'm going to use that same blue. I'm going to do Mary's scarf. I'm using my pouncing motion, but on a little bit of an angle because this is a little tight in here. And again, I could get a different brush. I might get a little different brush to do the rest of her outfit because this is a little tight in here. That part blue. The baby blanket here in the manger blue. Let's see. No, that's gray. That's gray. We had a little bit off-white going in here now. We have some gray and some off-white. So let's put this, oops, it's okay. Put that down. I'm going to go back to my tans. I'm going to put out a little bit more white in my tan. I'm going to put some tan in my tan. And I'm making a really, really light tan color. And again, from showing my plate and showing where I'm offloading, you can tell all the different variations that I've made just by adding white or dark. Oh, but you know what I was going to do? I was going to switch brushes. But I don't think I have to. Okay, so got some light in there. That's all light. What's here? Oh, and then this guy is light. A lot of times when I stencil too, I use makeup sponges. So you could use a makeup sponge and then just keep cutting it. What I like about a makeup sponge is you can really get into tiny nooks and crannies because you can make it as little as you need it to be. Oh, I'm not going to worry about that. Got some on my sheep's head. That's okay. Okay, so we did that. We did that. What's her face over here being? Well, that's more skin tone now, I think. Where's my skin tone? Over here. Wipe it off. And come up here. Okay. And then go back to my grays. I saved Tyra Did use. I save so much stuff as well. It does make it easier, but then at some point I end up throwing them away and needing new ones. Even the disposable ones that I save, I'll reuse. Hello, Rochelle. Yes, and it's very easy to go over the colors I'm using. True Blue, I use this Ultra Blue Deep just to have a little bit more darker blue for my background. I added a little bit of black, but the replay will be here. But I'm basically using True Blue, Baby Blue, brown, white, regular colors, brown, white, True Blue, Baby Blue, gray, and tan. And to get the different variations, I'm just adding white or gray. Like this plate was just the tan, and I added different white. Made it lighter, lighter, lighter. The same thing with my blue over here. My blue, I used the light blue regular. Then I added some gray to it for a shade. Then I added some white to it. Then I added white and gray to it. You just have to, oh, and then this one for the background here was my light blue with a tiny bit of the dark blue. So I'm basically just using these colors and then lightening them and darkening them. And you go along, it's color coded. It's not, paint by number, but it is in fact color coded for each layer of the stencil. And I'm just saying, okay, what is this part? Come down here. What is this part? Come down here. Okay, so now we have a little bit of gray. So I'm going to go back to my gray brush. And I'm using multiple stencil brushes too. This way it makes it easier. I have one that I'm using for the brown family, one that I'm using for the blue family, and then one that I'm using for the gray family, and then one that I'm just saving for white. The trick to stenciling is when you load your brush is to offload your brush. You don't want a lot of paint on your brush. And now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this. I guess this is a donkey. There's a donkey over here. Okay, offload it and come back and do my donkey. I'm not really worrying about, I did for the baby Jesus. I'm not really worrying about taping off different sections. I mean, you can take tape and tape off this and tape off this while you do this. But because we're working in these muted colors of the browns and the grays and the blues, they play nice together. So it would just, if I get a little bit on another section, I'm not concerned about that because it's just adding to the shading or the highlighting. This is one of the beautiful reusable stencils from Essential Stencil, the layering stencil, and it makes it so easy for people who like to craft and create but don't think they can paint, even though I know you can. You don't know you can, but I know you can. To feel accomplished just by using, and they're numbered, and just by following along. Okay, now we're going back to Joseph. Let me see how dark I made him if I used it straight before. I don't think I did. No, okay. I'm going to go back to my brown brush. And I have here, which I haven't used yet, this is a little bit of, it's even darker brown, burnt umber. But you can add a little bit of black to that. You can add a little bit of black to your regular brown, or you can add a little bit of black to your burnt umber, because I want it darker. And I'm going to come in here, and now I'm going to do, oh, I missed some gray. I'm going to do the rest of Joseph. I forgot there's part of my sheep that's in the background there by baby Jesus that needs to be gray. Okay, it's my brown brush. I probably just got paint on my face. And let's go in and do this sheep up here. Sometimes I just hold my brush. If you see, I have my brush like on a little bit of the side so I can get it in here in a tight area. I can get this tape, cover the blanket for baby Jesus, and pounce it harder, or I can just use my brush on the side. Okay, I got everything here. All right, the reveal for number 3. Okay, so each stencil, yes. Or you know what? Each stencil has different colors on it. And once you've used your stencil, oh my God, you guys, look at that. Look at that. Once you've used your stencil, of course I'm going to clean this. But I'm not going to worry about scrubbing it 100% clean. So I'm going to know where I use these colors because they'll be on here. Okay. Thank you, Capri. All right, so I'm going to get my heat gun. And we're going to dry this layer. And then we're going to be on to layer number 4. Oh my God, this is gorgeous. Oh, Michelle, you are so welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's important to be patient and either dry between layers or let it dry between layers if you don't have a heat gun or a hair dryer. Thank you, Capri. I love these layered stencils. They make it so easy. I have my marks here for the stencils. You can't even see them. I'll touch them up later. I know exactly what I'm going to do with them. Because you guys know me, I'm full of tricks, right? Okay. Alrighty. Last but not least, let's get layer number 4. And they're layered. See that? So they're layered, layer number 4, and they have these marks. I made my marks blue on here. You can make your marks whatever color you want. And we're going to pop this on. Let me get that pin over there. Okay. Move on my head for a second. I want to make sure this is all lined up. When I am done with this and it's completely dry, I'm going to clear coat it. And you can use polyacrylic. You can use Krylon, Rust-Oleum. I don't like to use a gloss because a gloss shows every brush stroke, every fiber, every piece of lint, everything. So I will use a matte finish, but I will seal this with a matte finish, with a matte clear coat, because it is on wood, and I always like to clear my, do my stuff with my wood with a matte finish. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is this big section here, which is a darker blue. All right. So here's my blue brush. Here's my blue brush. I think I'm going to pick up a little bit of black for this. Not too much. All right. And then I'm mixing in this blue. Okay. So look at all the blues we have here. I had 2 blues. A really, really pale baby blue, and then this true blue. Deco Art Americana colors. And I have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colors just by using a little bit of gray, a little bit of white, and now a little bit of black. I'm going to offload, and I'm going to come up here to my background. I don't want to get on her head. Here come our wise men over the hill. I don't know if you guys were here before, but there was and I don't, you know, everybody believes what they believe. I'm not trying to be all religious here, but there was underneath, yeah, there was, I forget where it was. There was Bible trivia the other day, and the question was, who was baby Jesus's first visitors or first visitor? And I could have sworn it was the wise men, and it wasn't. It was the sheep herder. Sheep herder was the first one to visit baby Jesus. I thought it was the wise man, and then I would have even ventured to guess it was the little drummer boy, but I think that just might be fictitious from the movie. Okay, so although I was born and raised Catholic, you don't want to get your Bible studying from me. Okay, but tis the season, and I do believe to keep Christ in Christmas for sure. Okay, I did that big background. Now we're going to get really dark gray with our animals. The animals off to the side. So I have my gray here again, picking up a little bit of black, I'm working it into my gray. Tiny bit. A little bit of black goes a very long way. I'm going to offload it. And I'm going to come to this guy. Okay. What happened to my, oh, my rag fell. All right. Then we're going to come over here and the same thing for this guy over here. Is he more of a brown? Let me see. Yes, he is more of a brown. I'm going to pick up a little bit of brown. I'm going to add it to my gray here. I'm going to offload. And I'm going to come back, making this a little bit more of a brown tone. It's still in the dark family. Where's my little brush? My brushes are getting a little dry, and I wanted to get in here to that little section. Okay. I'm not going to need that one. Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to do all this dark brown down here on the stones. Is that what we're doing? Yeah, dark brown on the stones. So I got my brown. Oh, that's not my brown. That was my gray. Now I've mixed up. Sorry. Got my brown. And we're going to do these stones on the bottom. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we're going to need a little one. So baby Jesus has brown hair. Oh, and then dark here. So dark and dark. For the hair and the hay. And then underneath, oh, this is dark too. Might have to get some more paint. Let me see, is this darker than I did? Yes, okay. So that's dark. Okay. Guess we need a little bit of pink. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit. Oh, that's dark blue. Oh, no, it's the brown. I'm going to do a little bit of brown. This is all brown. This is all back shading. I want my little brush. And I need a little bit more brown. This is more shading to the people. I put this little brush in water. Oops. So you want to make sure that's really dry before you go back to stencil. And this is like some shading now on Mary and Joseph. Oh, gotta clean that. And the baby. And I'm just going to get my blue because I want to fix that a little bit. Okay. Now, I'm going back to my white. Do you always have to? So, you do not always have to pounce. What I say you always have to do is less paint. You always have to offload. There's no getting around that. The more you offload, the less bleeds. You want very, very, very light layers, even if it means multiple layers. There are people, you see how I offload? There are people who stencil like that. In a circular motion, they rub it around, they rub it around, they rub it around. I'm not one of those people. They are successful doing that. I am afraid. I don't mind the pouncing. It has always worked for me. Um, I guess I could practice, but I've always pounced, and so I pounce. But there are definitely people who swirl. I'm just not one of them. So the two rules I get that I would like to say for stenciling: less paint and definitely offload. You want light coats of paint. Okay. Are you guys ready? I am going to add a little something to this too, but this was layer number 4, and I am ready. Ta-da! So look how cool. Wait, I need this for a second. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. Look how cool that is. We have our wise men. I mean, look at the detail on this. Our wise men's shadows. I think I will pounce this one because I don't have great success with. Yeah, I don't have great success with swirl either. So look, the shadows of the palm trees, the shadows of the wise men. Look how cool that is. The highlighting, the layers. Thank you. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it up here. Wait, let me dry it. Let me dry it first because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. A few colors and black and white. And look how gorgeous that is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I want to move that over for a second. Don't want to see that. I'm taking some tape. I need a little fresh white. I mean, this is sky too, right? I mean, we did it on this project, but it's all sky. And so I can come in here and I can add more stars to the background. We don't only stars. We don't need to just have the only stars be the ones under the barn, right? I just used some tape. I covered up the big one, and I'm just going around. And you can turn it so you have different angles or designs or whatever. And I'm just adding a few to the background here. It's easy peasy, right, Capri? Oh, I might have just messed it up with talking and not holding it down. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Beautiful art. Look at that. And I could keep going. I could do this all day, you guys. You know me. Take my tape off of here. And there you have it. My layers. Let me turn you guys around. And so, I wonder if that worked. Okay. So look, isn't that beautiful? Beauty, 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 beauty. I am loving this so much, you guys. Loving it. Love layered stencils. I can go in here and add some liner work if I wanted to, some more details. But that is it for today. So thank you for joining me. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Capri. It was nice seeing you guys again today. I'm going to clean up because now I have all these brushes. Again, warm soapy water. All these plates, my stencils. And I will use, I have one inside that I use for cleaning. I use a stencil. I'm going to take a video of it. And when I clean my stencils, I have a brush inside where I just do warm soapy water and I just clean around the stencil with the warm soapy water. And I'll show you I'll post a picture of what they look like after they're cleaned. They don't have to be perfect. These are awesome stencils. Don't forget Stencil Spot. If you want to get 10% off, you want to check out Essential Stencil. And yay you, end of the year, that's right around the corner. Yay you. Offloading. The one rule for stenciling, you gotta offload your paint. Thanks guys, have a great day.